It was pictures and advice and funny comments, and everyone just tied together. And then it was people in Australia, people in the UK, people from Florida to New York, people everywhere, men and women of all ages and sizes and shapes and genders, and all talking about pole dancing.
You're listening to The Aerial Hour, episode number 7. The Aerial Hour is a weekly podcast where I interview aerial entrepreneurs and professionals within our industry. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Aerial Hour. I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody listening around the literal world. You guys have no idea how much this means to me. We are 2 days from hitting the road full time. We are currently loading up Marge on the side of our yard, and we're currently packing her and getting her ready to go and clearing out our house. And I am totally overwhelmed, but really, really excited, especially about the interviews that we have lined up on our route. In this week's episode, I bring on Jack Spencer. She was visiting St. Pete for a nocturnal show that we actually both performed in. Jack Spencer is the owner of the Pole Academy, and she actually created You Know When You're a Pole or When, the Facebook group that is blown up worldwide. During this episode, we talk about building the Pole Academy from the ground up. She literally started her studio at home and moved it into a commercial space, so I ask her all about that. We also talk about how she created You Know You're a Pole or When, as well as judging from PSO and partnering with different companies. Jax was such an amazing guest, and I had such a blast interviewing her. I expressed how grateful I was to her during this interview, but I'm sure you all can agree that for at least me, when I found You Know You're a Pole or When, it gave me such a greater sense of what this community is and how large it was. So I am eternally grateful for her creating that group. If you want to know more about this episode, please head over to our show notes page at theaerialhour.com and check out the show notes. And guys, I know I say this all the time, but please write me a review in Apple Podcasts. You have no idea how much this makes me smile and warms my heart. Also, if you know anybody that I should be interviewing, please email me at theaerialhour@gmail.com so I can contact them. I think I've covered everything, so here's the interview. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Aerial Hour. Today, I am joined by the Jack Spencer of the Pole Academy, and You Know When You're a Pole or When, and we're going to talk about all the things. How's it going, Jack?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. This is a super cute setup, and I'm excited.
Thank you. We are sitting at my best friend Zoe's house in her pole room so that we can soak up the vibe, and it's just like, it's one of my top 3 places to dance at. I absolutely love this room. And of course, we had to have a pole in the space.
Obviously.
If it's the Aerial Hour. So let's just get right into it. You're down here right now for Nocturnal. We're in St. Petersburg, Florida currently, and we both are performing in the show tonight.
Yes! I'm so excited for tonight's show and to see everybody.
Oh my God.
All the acts.
Yes.
It's going to be amazing.
Yes, I'm so excited. So you're here from out of town. You're going to be performing in the show, and then you're just heading right back out of town tomorrow.
Busy life. Yeah.
I love it.
Back to South Carolina.
Yes. Yep. So how long have you been dancing for total?
The first time I ever touched a pole was in 2006.
Yeah.
So I am ancient dinosaur in pole years. So 2006, yeah.
That's good. I like dinosaurs, you know.
Sweet.
Yeah. And how did you find the aerial community?
It was very underground still. Mm-hmm. So I was in a club. I was one of those dancers, and I didn't know what I was doing because I was 20. Math. 20. And I just saw a girl, and now knowing what it was that she was doing, she just climbed, did a boomerang with wavy legs, did a Gemini, and came down and started twerking. And I was like, I want to be her when I grow up.
Yes. Yeah.
Went home, found the 5 videos on YouTube that were all OG Carol Helms, my friend now. And bought a pole from her website, set it up in my second bedroom, and the rest is history. And here we are.
That's amazing. How did you learn? Like, how did you start learning? Since it wasn't super popular or mainstream, where did you?
I was 100% self-taught.
Wow.
I started, like I said, in the club. So it was just, how do I not fall down? Right. I'm in heels. People are watching me. I have an audience. I'm going to die. And I didn't find her videos until about a year or 2 into it.
Okay.
So they were already more intermediate and advanced. And I was like, I can kind of climb. And harsh learning curve.
Yeah, for sure. So was it just like a lot of trial and error?
A lot of floor work, because that's a good fundamental, good foundation, especially because I was terrified of falling. Right. Like I said, in front of people. There's no one to spot me. There's no one to be like, hey, turn your head this way to save your neck. Yeah. Hey, change your grip and you'll hold better.
Right.
What is dry hands? That wasn't invented yet. So,
Yeah. So how long was it before you were able to start doing like inverts and that kind of thing?
Well, when I started, I was just over 200 pounds.
Okay.
So a lot heavier than I am now.
Yeah.
So about 2 years into like actual polling, I tried. I'm not even going to say I inverted. I tried to invert, and that was so hard because my butt was so heavy. But climbing to the top of a 16-foot pole took about a year. Inverting took about 2 years. So now I have students in class that can invert day 1. I'm like,
right, I know. I hate them as well.
I love you so much. You had a great teacher.
Exactly.
Yeah, because no body awareness, no strength, no background. So if I can do it, everyone can do it.
I love that. And I love that, you're open about how long it took you, because I think a lot of times I find myself comparing in classes sometimes where, it's hard, and you see somebody and you're like, they did that on the first time.
Yeah, like
why?
The adorable Russian kids and students in your class, and you open Instagram and they're like, I've been polling 6 months. Here's my first butterfly. And you're like, why? You're amazing.
Why?
I love you so much.
I really appreciate that. So I saw on your website, the Pole Academy, the studio's website, that you struggled with body image and confidence.
Oh, yeah.
Did you find yourself starting to build that as you were dancing?
The longer I pulled, the more confident I got. It went hand in hand, hands down. That's why the tagline is earn your degree in strength, beauty, and confidence, because that was my life. Yeah. That's what I took from it.
Yeah. What made you fall in love with pole?
I guess I always liked dancing, but I was always too shy to do it in like a club and underground, and I didn't have a lot of friends to go dancing with, or like a class terrified me. I had really bad anxiety. I didn't know a lot of people who were doing it, and plus I was way heavier. So when I was on stage, like club days, it all went away. I was a different person. I was a character. I got to play dress up, and people were giving me money. I'm just like, this is great.
Yeah, that is great.
So it just kind of fell more in love with, I can do what I want, and I'm sweating, so I'm burning calories, and I'm losing weight, and I can still go to Waffle House at the end of the night and not care. But I saw body changes. I saw weight loss. I saw muscle growing, and then the clothes started to fit better, and then I didn't give a fuck what other people thought. So it went hand in hand. Yeah.
I love how that happens. And I think it happens for almost everybody. Like, I went in and I was skinny fat for me. Like, I was never in shape. I never took care of my body. And when I found this, as I started to see my body change, the way I related to my body changed. Yeah. And I would have never guessed from pole dancing that would happen.
Like, I have one ab? What?
Yes. That's the most exciting thing, or like being able to do a move that you didn't think you would ever be able to do. I think that builds confidence in so many different ways. And I think that if you're not involved in aerial, you don't know that that's there.
Right.
My mother once asked me, she was like, I was telling her how empowered I felt from taking this like one class or something, and she was like, oh, I didn't know that it was empowering.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Please have a coffee, sit down.
So empowering, the whole thing. How have you seen the community change over time?
That's been a very long time.
Yeah, right. Because you're ancient, right?
I am such a dinosaur. Yes. Yeah, there was very much still underground. Like I said, there were no competitions. If they were like strip club competitions and like Miss Nude or things like that, or Pole Champ or whatever. Miss Pole Champ was a big one at one point in time. So no one was doing stuff in studios, and especially not where I was in Greenville, South Carolina. You saw the bigger ones in like New York and California, and they're kind of starting to spring up. And Fawnia's out there doing stuff, and Body and Pole open. So it's like, there's hope, there's stuff. It's not just, for the exotic dancers or anything like that in the clubs. Like, it's coming out, and that's been really crazy to watch. Like, bust open, and now there's competitions and all that fun stuff. So it's really cool to see a bigger community, not just in the United States now, or that stigma that's related with it, but also across the seas, and how we're all coming together for it, and everything's changing, like new businesses and co-businesses, clothing lines, grip aids, new shoes, all the shoes. Yeah. That's why I stay, is for the shoes.
Me too. How long had you been dancing when you decided to start teaching in your home? And how did that all come about?
So that was purely by accident. Actually, most everything in my pole journey has been an accident. Yay!
So lean into accidents, right?
Yes, we love our little accidents. It was, like I said, I got my pole from Carol's website, and I would just play on it, just dick around. I'm like, oh, my foot doesn't go there, crash on the floor. All right, don't do that. But because I started to see more body transformation, I would go to different clubs.
Okay.
And the other dancers would be like, oh my God, like your tricks are so cool. Like you look so good. Like, what's your diet? What's your secret? I was like, I don't know. I like Taco Bell and Waffle House at 3 a.m. But I play on this pole all night at work. And then when I go home, I want to get better and I want to learn all these things. And they're like, oh my God, show me, teach me, I'll pay you. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was really upfront that I said, I don't have any like training in this, because this was before certification. Right. So another part of the pole community growing, there's so many communication or certifications and communication. Sure. Yeah. Why not? Leave that in.
Both.
It was, show me. And I was like, well, this is how I started, which was like a dip or a fireman. And I was like, yeah, well, come for an hour and $20, just you and me. It's in my living room. Like I was super upfront with everybody. Yeah. And then it just started to grow. And then they told their friends. And then I thought about making a website and then a logo. And it snowballed into more and more and more.
How long had you been dancing at that point?
About 3 years.
Okay.
So 2009-ish.
Okay.
I started to actually market myself that I was an instructor. And then I did the expert training with Allison Sipes down here in Florida, in Orlando. And I remember she did across the room, like, just tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're here. And when she got to me, I was like, well, I've been polling for 3 years. I started teaching at my apartment. And basically, just want to make sure I'm doing it right. Luckily, I was. Oh, my God.
Right.
And I read the book, and I was like, oh, my God, I know all the names and all the points of contact. I did it right.
Yes. Natural. So natural.
Oh, lucky. That was just lucky.
Yeah.
Safety was always a big thing. So I'm like, hold yourself like this so no one would die.
Right.
So very important safety.
So you did the expert certification, and then did you continue teaching in your home, or when did you transition to a commercial space?
That was a big jump.
Yeah.
Because I always had secondary or other primary jobs that had, health insurance and health benefits. Yeah. I remember those days.
Yes, I miss them too.
Right. But I had multiple of those. So it was that I'm going to ask my mom, and I'm going to ask my best friends, and I'm going to ask everyone around me, my support group, if I quit all of these things and I really hone in on just teaching, do you think it'll happen? And everyone's like, fuck it, go for it. Yeah. So I did. Yeah. So I quit all my big girl jobs and I started teaching, and then there was the note.
The note? What's the note?
The note of devastation. I was letting one of my girls out of my apartment, and there was a note like shoved into my door, and I was like, this is an eviction notice? I pay my rent early all the time. And I read it, and it was like, it has come to our attention that basically you're running a business out of your apartment. And I don't think you're meeting all the guidelines. And while we don't care because the ladies in the office wanted to come do my classes, they were the best. They're like, legally, we can't have you do that. Okay. So for every day that you teach, we're going to fine you. And I was like,
yeah, no.
Cease everything.
Yeah.
I had quit all my jobs. I didn't have a lot in savings. Like I was banking on this.
Yeah.
So one of my students, she was like, well, my boyfriend is an investor and he's kind of looking to get into something. You know, you want to have a meeting with him? I was like, yeah, because I don't have a lot of money to put up front because I always said I wanted a brick and mortar.
Right.
But I didn't really have a plan to get there.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the swift kick in the... I've been cussing ass. But I had a meeting with him and basically said, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Sure as fuck they did.
Yeah.
So that was our little meeting and the rest was history. So I don't know who sent the note, but it was the address on my website and they went over the apartment to the people who owned that, the head company.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know this is happening? And I was like, I mean, I had an LLC. I was getting my business license. Right. I was insured, but it was a commercial, residential.
Yeah.
It was bad, but it was kind of also what I needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whoever wrote that, come to my new studio. It's purple.
Exactly. It's funny how the universe works like that.
Right.
You know?
It was like, you can do this. Little bird punches me out of the nest.
Right. How did you find your commercial space?
The place where I get my nails done, it was across the street.
Oh, really? I love that.
I had been scouting out because I knew I needed like X amount of space and the height and location.
How did you determine that? What size you needed? Like going in, this was your first space. How did you even know to think of that stuff?
It was mainly the height.
Okay.
I needed some height because I was like, I don't want to work on like a 9-foot pole. Like I need something a little bit heavier or like wider, something that could sustain. But as far as action plan, I was like, I want a lobby. Like if I was to walk into a studio, and I had only been to like 2 other actual studios.
Yeah.
One was one of my training in Florida.
Right.
So it's kind of based off of there's a lobby, there's a shop, there's like your front desk, there might be some clothes or coffee or something. I like the privacy. So I was like either curtains or a door, something separate, and then bathrooms, and I'll need to change, and maybe we'll get aerial stuff like Lyra and Silks at one point. So just a little bit big enough, but rent was a big factor because I don't want to go over that. But yeah, I was sitting at my nail salon and just happened to look out the window and there was a space for lease, space for rent sign. I was like, I'll walk over there and see. And there was 2 different ones. And I was like, I'm just going to call them and see.
Yeah.
And that was super fun because when we walked in, they had the drop ceiling that was in it.
Okay.
And I asked the realtor, can I rip the ceiling out and see what's up there? And he's like, I guess. He had no idea what we were doing or what we had planned as like the vision. Yeah. He's like, pole dancing, so not a strip club. I was like, no, but kinda. Is that gonna be a problem? He's like, no, I don't care.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Has he always been cool? Do you rent or?
We still rent. The owner of the new landlord, they swapped over, but now the new one, he's super cool. Like he fixed our lights and some electrical stuff, and he's always been a fan of ours just because he's like, we pay rent on time and we don't bother anything. So that's fine.
That's a good client to have, right?
Yeah. Pay your rent and don't bother him. Okay, deal.
How did you start building a curriculum? Because at this point, you have been teaching in your home space. When you started teaching in your home space, how did you even make a curriculum? Because at that point, there was like nothing, right?
There was nothing. There was maybe Studio Vina, some tutorials on YouTube, but no platforms, there was no 1, 2, 3 polling. There's no levels. Like I had my expert book that was like, okay, spins are not upside down. Okay. Like super, again, learning curve. These are the things I started with, and these are the variations I did.
Okay.
So you can go from fireman. Okay, stick your leg out. Okay, it's a martini. Take your leg off. Okay, it's chair. Things like that. And we would just build from that. And then the inversions, and then leg locks, and then the shoulder mount conditioning. And then, you can twerk on the ceiling.
Right.
So anything like that was just kind of what I had always done, because that's how I taught myself. Well, I don't think I should go upside down, so let me do this pretty upright pose, but it's kind of twisty. And then my students at the apartment were basically my guinea pigs, including Kilo, who is my best friend. And she got a learning curve too, and a lot of private lessons. But it was a little different. And then the more platforms that were available to us, I would tweak it or add them or something like that. But it was very how not to die safely in a carpeted apartment on an 8-foot pole.
Yes. Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah.
No, rule 1, no dying is still our number 1 rule.
I like that rule. I'd agree with that.
Never been broken.
Good thing. So you basically had to teach yourself how to teach other people. What was that like?
Fun.
It
was always fun. And
I
it was
like
always,
your outlook.
Yeah, it was always fun. It was always like fun but challenging, because I didn't know how to give modifications until it was presented to me. So troubleshooting, and I hate troubleshooting, but with pole, I never did. Oh, if that doesn't work, put your foot here. Oh, that doesn't work, turn your shoulder this way. Oh, that doesn't work, try your other side.
Yeah.
It just kind of worked out that way. Anything else, troubleshooting, like especially technology, I'm like, I don't do it. I have to pay someone to do it. I don't. But troubleshooting was like, talking to them, and no, you can do it, and like, let your body do this. Don't resist. Try this. Oh, you don't like climbing? Let's roll around on the floor. Yeah. It was always so fun to explore something, and because it was such an intimate setting with like 1, maybe 2 other people, it kind of gave me the confidence to be like, I can teach other people more things. So my very first group class, I was terrified. To this day, I'm still terrified, but it's way more fun.
Yeah. I can kind of lean into the nervousness now, which I wasn't able to do before. I totally get that.
I have horrible stage fright. I do not like public speaking. So when I'm about to start and I turn my music on, I'm just like, they paid for this. Okay. Give them a good show. They paid for this. And then I turn on, I'm like, hey, everybody. And then the Jax just comes out.
Yeah.
And then you just put your blinders on and you're like, you know what you're doing. It's fine. And if anything, get a water break and go, okay. Yeah. Oh, this is what we're doing. Okay, great.
Yeah.
But you vibe off of the people that you're around, and they're always so fun. Yeah. And even when they're not, you're like, well, I've had a lot of coffee, so we're going to have fun. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Just lean on coffee.
I really always love hearing when like people that I think are such amazing dancers have stage fright. Like,
oh yeah.
I think as just like a fangirl, I'll watch people on stage and they just seem so effortless that how could they be nervous? It's so natural. But to find out that, most of us are terrified.
Yes. I've been backstage with a bunch of those amazing people too.
Yeah.
In cold sweats and shaking. They're like, I need a shot. Like,
right.
And then they go out and kill it. I'm like, you just did 17 Fongies. Like, what? The crowd went nuts and you came off and you're like, I need to drink that. How?
I really admire that, because I feel like it humanizes people, and it makes me feel not so alone in that, even though I'm terrified, that I can still go out and it not show, even if I feel that way.
Yeah. And you're just internally freaking out.
Yeah. Like tonight, no big deal.
It's fine.
It's good.
Look at my butt. That's all you got to think.
Right. Just point at it and twerk. This is actually the perfect setting for that. Legit.
Oh, perfect. I'm so excited for tonight.
So how did you, when you opened the commercial space, decide what classes you wanted to teach? Was there a lot of variety, or was it very like level 1, 2, 3?
Half and half. So I, at one point, also taught dogs. I was a dog trainer, so I went from puppies to pole dancers.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that we did, it was just that PetSmart. It wasn't anything amazing. I didn't have a business out of that. But they always did series. So it's like a 6-week series puppy class that you have to come at this time every week for X amount of weeks at the same time. And if you miss a class, then you have to make it up.
Right.
And that was such a nightmare, not for me, but for the clients. They're like, I can't commit to every Tuesday at 7. Like, my kid has soccer practice. I don't get off work until blah, blah, blah. Right. So series classes always like put me off because I had to deal with rescheduling, or if you miss that one, now you're 2 weeks behind, and now the graduation class is behind. Like, it was rough. So we tried block scheduling.
Okay.
It was level 101, 201, 301, so beginner, intermediate, advanced.
Okay.
Didn't even have an advanced class really because we weren't there yet physically. I was like, I have 3 people who can kind of do a handspring sometimes. But then there was like, the fundamentals. I always taught floor flow. So we have a floor work class. If you don't want to do the sporty stuff, if you want to do the dancey stuff, we have a poetry class. So it's more of anything between exotic or lyrical or flowy, but it's more grounded. And then, you need splits and flexibility. So we have a class for that. You need to get stronger. Well, we have boot camp. So we have a class for that. So you could pick and choose what you wanted to come to instead of going to one class going, this is what we're doing today. And these are all the things you need to be able to do it. So it was much more variety and lots of options for people.
Did you go in offering all those classes when you first started? Wow. How did you know to do this?
I did not leave the studio, and I got a talking to from my bestie Kilo and my business partner going, you need to go home every once in a while. Yeah. Maybe not be here for 12 hours on a Sunday when people aren't showing up. Eat something besides Jimmy John's.
Right.
Jimmy John should sponsor me at one point. I lived off them for the first 2 years.
Did you have anyone that you were like, kind of like a mentor or anything to kind of ask questions to, or you just this is amazing. What an entrepreneur though.
Yes.
Like
we're
how,
gonna go with yes.
Yeah, no, it's just incredible. Like there wasn't, I'm sure at this point, I think you opened 2014, correct?
Yes. Yeah, we just had our 5-year anniversary.
Yes, congratulations. That's huge.
We're a big girl.
Yes, you guys are. But at this point, so 2014, pole's starting to become slightly mainstream, slightly not really. It's still like underground-ish. If you don't know what it is, then
especially where I live.
Right. So it just blows me away that you had enough thought to be like, okay, these are the things that I'm good at. This is what I think a studio should have. So I'm going to do that.
It was a lot of guessing, a lot of trial and error.
Okay.
If things didn't work out, I make the schedule, I can change it.
Right,
but I was more terrified that every day that I came in that first 6 months, that my front storefront window was going to be shattered or egged or graffitied or something like that.
Did that ever happen?
No, nobody cared.
Is the community around you supportive?
Actually. And we still have people to this day. They're like, oh my God, how long have you been here? 5 years. I didn't know you existed. Oh,
well, okay. Now you do.
Well, now I need to up my marketing game. But okay, you were here to graffiti me, but there was no churches or riots or chaos. Of course, in my head, I was like, my whole world's going to explode because I put all this money into it. But it didn't. But the only afterthought I had was, okay, if I build this and I make this, I need someone eventually to help teach. And that's when I had approached Kilo because we would have our little house parties and she was always the first one to run up and be like, oh, put your leg here for this, or oh, grab like this. Okay. So it was kind of natural. I was like, well, we're also best friends. Story on that later. But yeah, she would help out. And I said, I did this training. There's one in Raleigh coming. I can't help you pay for it or anything, but as a friend, and if this is something that you kind of want to do at some point, would you consider it? I think I terrified her, but she still did it. Yeah. And that was always the goal, is open a studio, dominate the world with my best friend, take over the world and do pole and stuff. And we're on that track. We're on the track.
Yeah, you're doing it.
She's on payroll. It kind of happened.
Yes. How did you market your business in such a small town?
It was a lot of word of mouth at first. Okay. We did the friend referral, tell a friend, have a punch card sort of thing.
And you also had students from being at home, so they...
Kind of, because it took so long for us to actually open, find a space, paint it, put the floors and rip the ceilings out, really make it from hand. Kilo was there. Some of my best friends were there. We literally built it by hand. So if something looks bad, it's because I put the nail in it. Don't judge. But it was a lot of work, but because it took so long, I didn't have a lot of my old students because they had moved on and like they weren't conditioned for it. And life happens. They're like, oh, I have a kid. Oh, I'm in school. Oh, my job changed. I'm like, oh, so I have to start all over. Great.
So how did you do that?
Like I said, a lot of word of mouth was super helpful. Okay. Facebook ads, Instagram wasn't as popular just yet, but I was kind of posting on it. Newsletters, I would get people's email, things like that. And then I would just run around like footwork, going to tattoo shops and nail salons. Can I leave my cards here? They're like, I guess, whatever. Not like super welcoming, but not shunning. Okay. Just, oh, another person. Okay.
Right.
But luckily it was enough word of mouth that really hit it that people were like, oh, I tried this thing. Oh, I didn't know Greenville had that. We had a Groupon. We've had a Groupon since day one.
Yeah.
And I mean, love to hate it sort of thing.
I feel, in fact, Groupon has been mentioned in every single episode.
I believe it.
You know,
I believe it.
I think it used to be more effective than it is now, but it still is great, I think, for getting new people in the door.
New people, especially when they just move here or they just transferred for a job or some, we have a lot of commercial stuff, like big industrial stuff like Michelin and BMW where we are. So we have a lot of people from out of the country who come with their husbands or something and they're like, well, what are we supposed to do all day?
Right.
And, get on Groupon. Oh, pole dancing. Oh, that could sound fun. Or they just do Google dance studios near me, dance classes for adults near me, and we'll pop up because we pay for that CEO or SEO. Yeah. So we've done a lot of that. But Groupon, people come in with that and I'll ask them like, oh, did you hear about us before or did you find us on Groupon? And 99% I found it on Groupon. I never knew you existed. I was like, well, if that's how we're getting new people, then I'm going to keep it going.
Yeah. So is that a way that you still continue to market your business?
Yeah, still have it.
Is there anything else that you've done since, with technology and everything?
Oh, so much. And Amy from PSO, she just did like a business entrepreneur like workshop, like seminar that was really, really helpful. And we have been doing some of the stuff. And I got a lot of good notes for the business side on that. But Instagram, Facebook ads, the SEO, different types of marketing, just stuff every day. Yeah. We started to create new surveys for feedback, mailing lists, different things like that. So,
do you find like the surveys to be really beneficial for you?
For the most part, when people take them.
Right.
If I'm one of those people that's like, oh, rate this hotel, I'm like, nah.
Right.
I obviously paid for it, whatever. But for us, for such a small business and to be still so new.
Right.
It is very beneficial. So we'll do our feedback surveys from classes. We'll do demographic surveys to try and figure out like who our target marketing audience is, the repeat customers, the people that we've gotten from Groupon.
How did you think to do this though?
A lot of guessing and a lot of internet.
Yeah. I mean, that's really resourceful. I think that's a great idea to ask your students, your clients. Like,
I need your guys' feedback sort of thing. But when I first opened, like I would kind of go back to Allison just because she was who did my expert. So I would ask her a couple questions. I think I had reached out to Carol and I was like, I know you kind of teach at this studio, like you don't own one, but like any advice, things like that. So it was just the peers, but I was also terrified to talk to like the elite pole stars.
Yeah, and I know that feeling.
And the people in the community because it's scary out there, but not so much now. But 5 years ago was a little more rough.
Yeah, it's crazy. And everybody's so giving in this community. Like, it's funny. Like we were talking before, like I'll tell myself that somebody's not going to respond to my email asking them to be on the show or, just the silliness. But this community is just the most giving. You
never know until you ask.
Exactly. So shoot for the stars.
Yes.
I love it. How many classes are you currently teaching weekly now?
I'm counting on my fingers. There's a lot. We run about 40 to 60 classes a week. And it's just me and Kilo. Kilo and I, Kramer.
That's amazing.
So we're there a lot. And that's with our regular group classes, private lessons, parties, competition training, admin, staying home late, Netflixing on my laptops. There's always something to do.
Right. What is your favorite part of owning a studio?
I still reminisce that every day that I come in and I open, like I unlock the door and I walk in, I'm just like, good morning, studio. Like I talk to her like it's a person, and I start my coffee pot and I pull up with like the registrations of classes I have that day, and I see who's in class. I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. And she's going to be pissed that she's going to have to do this. And it's just fun because every day is different. Yeah. Like it's never Monday. Okay, well, this and this. Yeah. But I mean, like we have a twerk it Tuesday every Tuesday. That's like the consistent class. But every day is so different people, different curriculums. Like, what are we doing from Instagram today? Like, what is your favorite trick that we're going to work on today? Oh, it's a floor work class today, and then an advanced class. And the next day it's a beginner's class, and the newbies, and then the dancey stuff. It's always different. Yeah. So I never get bored of it.
I love that. I love that there's always something, and your passion really like for this community shines through. Yeah. I
love these. I love you guys.
Yeah.
Love my students. And then when I'm stuck, it's great to have so many different platforms to get inspiration from. Yeah. Or if you're in that like little rut of you can either literally message someone and hopefully they talk to you, or you just start scrolling and you're like, well, that's cool.
Right.
And then
I'm going to try that.
Yeah, we're going to go from it. Yeah, go from it from there.
Yeah. What is your least favorite part of running a studio?
The back end, like the admin stuff, like our schedule, we type in manually every single like character. So if there's a misspelling, sorry, we're human and tired. I was probably getting more coffee, so I spelled pole wrong. But I mean, that's one of those things that I would love to hire someone at some point to do all that, or just manage time and stuff better. So that's still kind of that learning curve. And we're making literal steps to do that. Even as we speak, like I'm getting new hire paperwork ready and stuff for that. And then the marketing of please come to my class instead of teaching the class, you know? So the back end's a little rough. And I know Lux ATL had just set out something and be like, you know, delegate and this and be your own boss, things like that. And she's right. It's really right. But you still have to get on that path and do it. And I'm not a control freak at all. My fingers are crossed. Keel will laugh at me. She's like, yep. But yeah, it's the back end is not as fun because nobody wants to sit here and type in all the memberships and spreadsheets.
No.
Bleh. I just want to play on the pole.
Yeah.
My heels.
Yeah. I'm glad that that's the only, downside is the back end stuff.
Oh yeah. It's not the people. It's not the classes. I mean, I don't care if I'm tired. I'm going to drink a whole bunch of coffee and we're going to dance. That's why we're here.
That's awesome. Okay. So now I got to talk to you about, when you're a puller. When
you're a puller when you're doing an interview about pole.
Exactly. First off, thank you for creating that group.
Oh, you're welcome.
We're going to get into how it started and everything. But when I first found my first home studio and I went in and I took a couple of classes, the owner and instructor immediately told me, you need to join this group. It's called you. She was like, I'm going to write it down for you.
Because it's long.
It's long, but go in there and you'll see how big this community actually is. And this was crazy. I think I started dancing in, 2013. So this is 2013.
Yep.
And for me, just finding the aerial community, I didn't know that there was this worldwide group of people or that
we're everywhere
or that it's not as taboo as I thought it was.
And that in America.
And that when I found the group and I got added in, I found this diverse and supportive community.
Yes.
And so thank you for that, because that made me...
We tried.
No, you did. You did. And you continue to do. So what made you decide to start that group?
So this is one of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
So when my friends and we were going to do like a little field trip to the strip club because we were like, oh, we're off. Let's get all dressed up and have some drinks and throw some money. Woo. I was waiting on her to come. So I had started pre-gaming with some red wine, as one does. And we were texting. And she's like, oh, you know you're a pole dancer when you want to wear polo shorts underneath your dress in case something happens.
Yeah.
Ha, ha, ha. And I was like, oh, yeah, you know when you're a pole dancer when you start pre-gaming because you know you can't get on the pole at the strip club and it makes you sad. So we just started going back and forth, and about 2 or 3 glasses of wine in, I was scrolling through Facebook and we just kept giggling about it. And I was like, I'm going to type this in, you know, and you're a polar wet. And then I added everyone on my friends list, and half of them deleted it immediately because they're like, don't add me to stupid groups. Sorry. But it started with like, oh, you know, you're polar when you show off your kisses, and when you have to explain the gynecologist visits, and when you can't fit in shorts anymore because your thighs are so big and muscular, and, you know, things like that. And it blew up. Yeah,
it is continuing to blow up.
It blows my mind. I was like, that was on a slightly wine tipsy whim, and didn't think anything of it. And then I had like hundreds of requests, and everyone's like, oh, I gotta add my friend, you have to be in this group. And it was pictures and advice and funny comments, and everyone just tied together. And then it was people in Australia, people in UK, people from Florida to New York, people everywhere, men and women of all ages and sizes and shapes and genders, and all talking about pole dancing. Yeah. This is crazy. I still can't believe it.
Chills, literal chills. Yeah, that's incredible. When you started it, like I'm assuming that you didn't really think it would explode the way it did.
Oops, no.
So did you have any goals for the group, or you were just like, this sounds like fun?
Literally just, oh, this sounds like fun. We can check it every once in a while. Like, what are you doing throughout your day? And I remember that first night, one lady commented and she was like, you know you're a polar when you rush putting your child to bed, skip the bedtime story because you want to come back and look at this group because there's a new post every 30 seconds. And I was like,
that's so awesome. So awesome.
So all the feels, but it started to grow more, and people would post pictures and be like, what's the name of this move? Or how do you guys condition for shoulder mount? Or what do you do if you have, you know, breast augmentation, or you're pregnant, or, you know, my bruises are really bad. What can I take for them? So then there had started to need a little structure. Yeah. And then we had to keep the creepers out.
Yeah. So how did you do that? I know when you go to add yourself, it asks you a couple of questions. Is that like, how do you weed through and make sure?
That was actually super new, and that was, oh my God, I love you, admin team. You guys rock. Part of their idea, but we would screen because like it was open. Right. And after probably between 5,000 and 8,000 people, there was a huge debacle about, I posted in this group, but so-and-so could see it on my timeline. Right. And it got really sketchy. And I was like, well, I want to make it like a safe place. Yeah. Like I want people to feel comfortable and free. And again, on a whim, did not think anything through. I made it closed. And that upset a couple people. And they're like, no, you shouldn't be this or that, and you shouldn't care, and blah, blah, empowerment. And I was like, well, yeah, but this is a Navy federal officer posting. Right. This is a surgeon. This is a police officer. Right. They should have
anonymity.
Somewhere to feel safe as well. And then more people came forward and was like, I've never posted in this group, but now that it's closed, I want to post and comment. I can comment on pictures and things. Me. I was like, oh, so I had a bunch of like creepers hanging out. Hey, friends. Yeah. Y'all been here.
I'm the creeper.
Yes.
Hi. Yes.
So I didn't want to make it secret. But then when I did that, everyone's like, oh, we're leaving. I was like, okay, but it's a Facebook group. Calm down. But I couldn't change it back because we had so many people in it. Okay. I also can't change the name because it's grammatically incorrect because we have so many people. But it needed a little bit more structure. So there's some more rules in it, you know, about the bullying, harassment, you know, be careful where you take advice from. Just be a good human being to other people on the internet, basically, and things like that. But we ask the questions now to be like, all right, are you actually a pole dancer? Are you just trying to get in so you can sell your Lululemon leggings or whatever? Right. Something. So, so we kind of screen people, and I have awesomely huge admin team, and we have a group message, and we're in constant communication. Even if I'm just checking, I'm just like, what's going on, guys? They're like, this is what happened. We fixed it. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are great. Okay, I'm going to go teach 7 classes.
At what point did you decide to bring admins on? Like, how big was the group?
There was only like a couple or a handful that would be like, hey, delete the Adidas ads and make sure that there's not people screaming at each other and being bullies. There was probably like 6 or 8 of us at that point.
Okay.
And then there was...
And how many people were total in the group at that point?
There was still like thousands.
Wow.
Like thousands.
Yeah.
And the more that I needed something, I forget what triggered it, because we've had a couple like explosions in the group.
Yeah.
Some wildfires.
Right.
Bound to happen with 34,000 people or so.
Absolutely.
You're not going to make everyone happy.
No.
People are going to collide with different backgrounds and viewpoints and stuff. That's going to happen. But there was something big that happened, and I was like, call for admins. I was like, if you think you can help, if you can manage this, I would love people in different time zones, because I can't always be here. Apply and say like, what's your experience and how long have you been in the group, and things like that. And I had like 20 say, oh, I want to be, I'm on here all the time. Oh, I can catch this. I can red flag this. I can catch a reported post. I can add people. So I was like, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
So it was like a little template that I was like, this is what we look for. I'll add you to the group. I'll change your status, and just, again, be a good human being with good judgment. And I'm not going to babysit you. And they've been amazing. I could not have that group or run that group without them.
How many currently do you have? Do you know how many admins? You're at 34,000 people in the group.
There's only still like 20.
Wow.
There's like 20 admins in our group chat. And like someone might leave or be like, I can't really help as much, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not paying you. This is volunteer.
Right.
I appreciate the help and the communication, but there's only like 20-ish.
I'm sure though that they all just being a part of, when you're a Polar One made me feel like I was a part of something bigger. So I imagine all the admins feel like they're getting to help.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, I try and check in with them and like I said, not micromanage and be like, hey, did you guys do this? Or I'll be like, hey, I saw this. Can you guys handle it? Like I'm doing something. I'm always doing something, but I always try and check in with them and see what's going on. I always get the notifications on my phone and I'll check it. And there's like 99 new messages. And I'm like, oh God, what happened? But then they started talking about something off tangent. And I was like, okay, nothing blew up. That's fine.
Just true crime talk.
Yes. Something's like, oh, polling with, what ailment. And be like, what do you guys do? And I'm just like, okay, y'all can talk. I don't care. That's fine. I thought something massive happened and I have to threaten to delete the group and turn it around or something. But no, I don't. And I love that group. That thing's super cool.
How have you handled bullying?
We've had to kick some people out. We've had to mute some people. We've had to do messages on both sides. We're like, well, what's your story? What's your story? Okay. Or you're just being a bitch. Stop. Some people are really obvious and they will tell you exactly how they feel. Kind of love them for it.
Right.
But I'm like, you can't call people these names or you can't leave the group, go to their page and start harassing them. That's not why I made this. And I'm not going to let you be able to do that. At least not through my group.
Yeah.
What you do on your own time and how you find these people. I can't run the internet. Sorry, but you're not going to do it with the resources in my group.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I think you guys do a really amazing job.
We try. It's a full-time job too.
Yeah. No, I don't. I have no idea how you do all of this stuff.
Do you want to be an admin?
No thanks.
I'm busy.
Yes, but I'll admire your admins.
They're great.
But I think you guys do a really great job of maintaining, one, a safe and private community, and two, an encouraging community.
Yeah, we try and be super supportive and inclusive to everyone. So there's a lot of little wildfires and there might be a tit for tat here or there, or just, hey, someone's calling someone out and we're just like, okay, guys, play nice.
Right.
But I mean, again, we're not going to make everyone happy and my views aren't the only right ones or how it's going to be, but just be good to your fellow human. We're all pole dancers. I don't care. Yeah.
So the group as a whole, has that given you any additional visibility as far as being a studio owner?
Kinda. It's a really good resource as well. So people are like asking, hey, what are places around here? Where can I find a studio? And then people will be like, oh, I'm moving to this state or something. And someone's like, oh, the lady who runs this group is in Greenville. And then they'll tag me or something. So that's been super cool. And then I remember I had... something about, maybe it was like plus size polars or something. And I had approached Roz, the diva. And I was like, again, terrified because I had not met her at this point. I was like, hi, Roz, I'm Jax. I run a Facebook group. Do you know what? And she was like, oh, yeah, I know who you are. I was like, holy fuck, really? And now we're friends. But yeah, it was... people recognize a little bit. I'm not going to say it's like a claim to fame or anything ridiculous like that, but it's cool to have it and it's cool to be a part of it. Yeah. And then if people are like, oh, that's the owner, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's my drama. I know it's spelled wrong. It's fine.
I love that group so much.
It's
so much. I'm again eternally grateful because seriously, like as a baby polar, I was obsessively talking to everybody in my life about pole, and none of them were like,
we don't care.
Right. Yeah. I'd like show them my front hook to back hook, and they'd be like,
okay,
that's
and
it.
then you post in the
and everybody was like,
you did it! Oh my god, you're so beautiful! Look at your legs and your shoes! Oh my god, what great form! How do you spin? Yes.
Yeah, it was nice to find somewhere.
Everything's just confetti riot. You're just like, yay, everywhere. Just so much.
I think that's what I love most about this community is that we're just so supportive and it's the best.
It's hard to keep it like in the reins of pole because there's so much stuff outside of pole that there's gray areas, and my admins are super cool about like, do we delete this? I'm like, it's floor work.
Right.
Okay. But when it's just like, oh my God, I thought of you guys, and it's just absolutely not, be like, we'll message them and be like, as much as we love that, I'm on here for pole stuff and we can't be having this.
I also appreciate that because sometimes it can be a lot, you know?
Yeah. And it can get oversaturated with non-pole stuff in the wrong way.
Exactly. Yeah. Like my timeline is flooded with that stuff. I come to when you're a polar to see pole stuff.
Pole stuff.
Yeah. But I like that sometimes, like you said, there'll be like a floor work thing or
chair, heels.
Yeah. Those type of things I think are all encompassed in this as well.
Yeah. So there's variations and like little branches that feather out from it. But overall, I'm like, yes, I care about the rainforest, but I'm not going to post a GoFundMe in my pole group for it. You know, got to keep some of your life separate.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And just common sense. I mean, post where it's appropriate. Right. Know your audience.
Yeah.
So switching gears a little bit, in addition to all these other things,
branching out of the world.
Right. You also are an ambassador for PSO. Is that correct?
Yes. I am a unicorn.
Yes.
Thanks,
How
Amy.
did you establish that relationship?
That was one of those things that I was a studio owner and one of my students had gone to a PSO event and she wanted me to help her figure out like the rules and like what she could do and the levels. So I kind of dove into it and I was like, I don't really know too much about it. I should research it. So I kind of engulfed myself with that. And then I went to another event where I just spectated. And then I saw the panel of judges and I was like, oh, these are all my friends. So I like reached over and I was like, Dakota, how do you become a judge? And she was like, oh shit, like you could have totally just been on a panel, like it's fine. But she's like, there's actually like a process and you go through here and like this is how you do it. And I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna look into that. Thank you for the information. And then I really enjoyed the show and how it was set up and how it was ran and the times and the levels and the categories. So I just appreciated it. And then of course, after every single person during and after, everyone's screaming and cheering and everyone's wearing their like team jackets. I was like, I want to do this shit. This looks like fun. And I had more people ask about, oh, what if I want to do a competition?
Yeah.
You know, they're scared. So I want to be well equipped with the answers to give them and to help them on their way. So then I reached out to PSO and I was like, I'll take the quiz. I'll do the training. I've done these events. I'm a studio owner. And then it just kind of snowballed from that. And I've been in all the meetings and the groups and been really involved with them.
That's really cool. You mentioned a couple of things that you had to do to become a judge. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
They have upped their game and expectations ever since like day one. It was just like, do you know if you should be able to do this in level 2 or 3? And it's really evolved to, you're going to watch videos and then you're going to write out critiques. And these are the different scorings. And you have to know the technical scoring, the artistic scoring. And it's really involved now. And keeping up with there's a lot of changes, especially in the last couple months when they were ready for the 2019 season, because Triangle is the one that I would judge at.
Okay.
And that was the first one of the season. So I'm like, I have to know all of this stuff because we are the first event. So it was a lot, but it was in a good way.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be prepared, and they do phone interviews and they're like, all right, well, we're going to go over your scores and this is the question you missed and this is why. And then you talk to them, and there's updated trainings and there's monthly meetings, and they're on top of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's really cool to be a part of.
Yeah. I had no idea that was all...
We go through vigorous, did she do this? You know, is this move legal?
But I bet that teaches you a lot just as a dancer and a studio owner.
Yeah, it's a lot of good material, a lot of good resources. So, and there's usually no surprises, which is nice when you have 3 minutes to write comments and score someone that you're not like, was that a deduction? I don't know. And they take care of all that. They're super on it.
Okay. Makes note to reach out to PSO.
They're awesome. And then I think Amy likes them tall because I can help her set up her booths at Volcon.
That's awesome.
She has the coolest banner. So I was like, let me help, I can reach.
Let me use my height. That's great. When did you start working with PSO?
This will probably be going on 3 or 4-ish years. I think this is the 3rd year that I've been with them.
Okay. That's very cool. And how much has that evolved from when you started to where it's...
A lot. Well, they changed their logo. That's super cool. But yeah, just the different things that were like allowed, or the gray areas of tricks that you could do in level 3 or level 2 or level 4, or more so in level 5, just how to break them up and what's to be expected, and keeping the integrity of it. Like not sandbagging. Oh, I can do handsprings, but I'm going to do an easy win in level 2.
Right.
Yeah. So they're really good about that and communication. And then, like I said, just keeping us on task of knowing, like, they don't have to micromanage us because we have so much material and resource from them and the website and our group and communicating. So they're awesome.
That's great. I really appreciate when things are laid out that way, because it takes all the guesswork out.
Yeah. No surprises.
And I feel like, especially for pole, because it isn't accepted everywhere, putting like that professional foot forward, being like, no, we're going to have structure. This is how it works. Time
management is really important. But now they're doing fun things like the After Dark just came out. Like they started sexy and then they went to like the all levels and categories. And now they're bringing the sexy back. And it's fun to know kind of behind the scenes of the things that they're working on, and not just like new t-shirt ideas, but like things that they want to be in the community. Now they're international. They have things in Taiwan and Switzerland. I'm like, can I go over there and judge?
Yeah, right. I'll do that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yes, but they have so many like cool people working with them, and like the trophies are fun and things like that. But I mean, the back end, seeing the behind the scenes on how they're communicating on their headsets, and they're getting the scores out, and their time management. Like, okay, we need to keep on task. And there's a lot that they do that I'm really impressed by. And I love being a part of the team. I'm just sitting there judging at this point. Like, I would love to be more in with them and doing more stuff to help. But just watching everything is just like, this is crazy. And you guys are like on task. Like, no one babysitting anybody. Like, it's really cool that like, we got our shit done. Yeah. That's amazing. It's really admirable.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of working with really cool people, you are a CRNP studio. Yes. Is that correct?
Yes.
You've done floor rockers?
Yes.
And level 1 and 2, correct?
Spinning, yes.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about that and why you decided to do that.
That was super fun. So Gemma Lux came up and taught us our 2-day weekend, and it was kind of like her anniversary because she had came in March of the year before and just done workshops. So then the March of last year, she was like, oh, come and do this now. So I was like, it's your anniversary. You have to come every weekend now. come.
Yes.
But no, that was super fun because a lot of my students were wanting to get more into either the teaching aspect or the competition aspect. You know, there's so many things you can do with pole that you're going to gravitate towards something.
Right.
So a lot of them were like, you know, how can I work for the studio? I want to be a teacher. We're helping in classes. So I wanted to give them something. So we had hosted the expert at one point, and then the CRMP had just come out and they were looking at like more studios to do it. So it was pretty new still.
Yeah.
And we were actually the first studio to do floor rockers.
Oh, wow.
That had not been taught yet. So we were her guinea pigs.
That's
so
awesome.
That was super fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of information. They're very long days, but totally worth it.
Yeah.
You get so much material from it. Yeah.
And does that give you any additional visibility by, you know, saying that you're certified in this or?
Yeah, it's super helpful. And Cleo will go to bat for you 100%.
Right.
So if you're like, oh, I'm teaching this floor rockers routine at a different studio and you have a flyer, she's going to post it everywhere.
That's
like,
great.
She's super mom, super entrepreneur,
Yeah.
but she loves her brand and what she's doing. And she's going to embrace the people who are with her doing that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of good exposure with that as well.
And then you also did the expert certification there too, or with Allison.
Yep, down here in Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
So I have a couple of those under my belt, and then life experiences, trial and error.
Yeah, right,
things like that. But as far as certification and super cool pieces of paper to hang on my wall,
Yes. Do you think that the certifications help people, like new students, feel more comfortable or?
Maybe, because some of them look at the wall and they're like, okay. And then some of them are like, wow, you have a lot of things framed. And they might not know what it is.
Right.
And I was like, those are pieces of paper that kind of tell you that I know what I'm doing most of the time. And
Yeah.
we still have 0 deaths. And they're like, I feel better.
Yeah.
So they might not know what it is. They're like, what's CRNP? Like they don't know.
Right.
They barely know what pole dancing is outside of a club or something. But it's nice to have like first aid certifications and a business license and things like that on the wall for them to see.
For sure.
Yeah.
Credibility.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think I've asked you all the questions about business.
All
So
the
now
business.
we get to talk about fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
So you like to travel.
I do.
You're currently traveling right now.
I'm in Florida right now.
You're
This is
right
a
here.
short weekend. Yeah.
But you've also been traveling to teach as well as perform.
Yes.
Tell me a little about that and why you like to do that.
This is all very new. So again, guessing, trial and error, that whole, you never know unless you ask and you just reach out to people. But I wanted to establish my business first. That will always be my priority. Those are my babies and I can always go back to them. Eventually, long-term goals would be having multiple studios and be little campuses. But eventually be able to step away because it'll be in good hands.
Right.
That I can travel more because that's how this all started. I want to travel and compete. And then I was like, I don't want to compete, but I want to be on stage. I want to perform.
Yes.
And then more and more people are like, oh my God, like come up here to, Maine or the UK, or when are you coming to Florida? When are you coming to Texas? I don't know. I don't think Texas is that's right. Anyways, but all that fun stuff and change of scenery. And I've always wanted to travel. So to be able to maybe have a job and a career that could allow me to do that just opened up so many doors.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what am I going to do? Be a flight attendant and travel? I mean, I guess I could. But I was not in any other career path that would give me that opportunity.
Yeah.
So now I do.
Yeah.
Just got to work for it.
Yeah.
But traveling is fun. And like, I'm paying for all my own stuff right now. But to be able to do it full time and I don't have to go back to a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I can travel when I want and meet people when I want. Hell yeah.
Hell
this is super
yes.
fun. This is like the newest chapter. Like my little East Coast tour with my best friend. Like we're bouncing all up and down the East Coast and performing at different places and teaching at different places. I got to teach in Swansea, Massachusetts. I was like,
okay.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Cat Studio, for having me. My Jack's cats.
Oh.
But yeah, that's all been really new getting out of the studio, but really exciting.
What an accomplishment though. Like seriously, what an accomplishment that you've been able to establish your business to the point where you can do this.
I can step away. Yeah. It's in good hands. Thanks, kids.
Yeah, that's a really big accomplishment in like 5 years.
Yeah.
That's
just what'll happen in 10 years. Who knows?
Right. Seriously, though. Like, good for you, man.
It took me 2 years just to take a 4-day vacation.
I'm sure. And you mentioned that like you're not a control freak, but I feel like you kind of have to be a little bit to run your own business.
Yeah.
You have to have the vision and you have to know exactly how you want it. So, you know, but being able to step away from your business is a huge accomplishment. Huge. Yeah.
Insane.
And everything that you're doing as well. It's amazing. The career that you built for yourself.
I'm so excited. I'm just all like giddy all the time. Like we're on a plane and Gil's like, I don't like planes. We'll be there and it'll be fine. I'm just like, please.
That was,
we're going in the sky.
Yes. Like that was me this morning. I was getting in my car on the way over here. Yes. And I was just like, man, I am living my dream.
Yes.
Just doing it. I get to go interview Jax. And then I'm going to eat some food. And then I'm going to dance for a bunch of pole dancers.
Yes.
And it's just going to be a great night.
Like who can top a better Saturday than that? Like,
seriously. There's just nothing better than that feeling of like, this is what I want to do and I'm actually doing it. It's incredible.
Yes. And like this weekend in particular, like I love that my best friend is with me.
Yeah.
Like this is super fun. I mean, I love to travel and maybe it's with my boyfriend, maybe I'm solo, but like she's amazing. I'm glad that I get to do that with her too. And still have the studio not falling apart, but also not being just closed for the whole weekend, not making money or anything. So this has been really new and different, but super fun.
Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's seriously. You also recently started a new group.
I did.
Tell me about said group.
Literally yesterday. Well, not when this comes out, but still, there was some creeper that was on Instagram, just said something ridiculous, and I said something, and at the end of it, because it was not professional or eloquent, because it was midnight, and I was like, fuck you. Basically, like, fuck politeness. And I was like, fuck yourself. And when I said that, I was channeling Georgia from My Favorite Murder. And someone was like, yeah, screw him. Yeah, do this. And someone was like, did you just reference My Favorite Murder? And I was like, oh, are you a murderino? She's like, oh my God, yes. And then we had a mini thread on that was like, why is there not like a poll group that also loves true crime? And we're also obsessed with watching the Ted Bundy documentaries and all of these fun things. And someone's like, is there really not? And we looked and I was like, well, I've already made one group. So let me make a little picture decal, start it up, and I was like, hey, I've just made this thing. It's called Polarinos.
Yeah.
And there's already like 100 and something people in it from like 48 hours. I was like, what? You guys like true crime?
Yes.
Nerds, I love you.
Oh, that's great. So what types of things will you be posting in that group?
I don't know. Again,
it happened.
It just happened. I was drinking coffee this time. I was like, oh,
no wine.
Not wine. This was like a daytime thing. Oh. But it was one of those, hey, let's just post and like have this little community of our Venn diagram who we love pole dancing as a hobby and we love true crime and we're kind of obsessed with it.
I like it.
Who better to talk about it? And then there was a screenshot that was like, you guys know that Georgia went to a PSO event, and everyone's like, what? It's like she talked about it on one of the fucking hoorays on My Favorite Murder. So we found the pictures and everyone's like, what?
That's so awesome.
Like it's crazy. So marrying the two was amazing. And I was like, look at their merch. Like this could be your new pole bag. And then Heel Art Collection, my friend Kayla, she has something that has like killer heels with a little knife. And I was like, we all need to rock this, you know, things like that. So it's gonna snowball again. I feel it.
Yes.
And I have no idea what's happening.
Yes. I love it. I'll be watching for a shirt and a show. Yes,
someone was already like, oh, we should make shirts. And I was like, somebody come up with a new pole move and call it after a serial killer.
Ooh, the Bundy.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, the Zodiac.
Yes. Just in a corner.
Yes.
Writing.
Scribbling. Yes.
That's so cool.
Yes.
And you have also started a new partnership with 123 Polling. Is that correct?
Yes, that's super, super new. And that was one of those, I don't know, just ask. And we had done like a Skype interview when they were in Hawaii. And they're like, yeah, we see what you do. You have your back to basics with Jack's tutorials. You have this really big group that you would allow to post in. It would be a good fit. And we don't have, your style or whatever. So yeah, we'd like to work with you. So I haven't filmed anything with them as of yet, but I do have a link for it so people can get some goodies on there and they can check it out beforehand. And there's a whole bunch of super awesome people already on there.
Yeah, there are.
Oh my God, so many amazing things. But then I'll eventually be on there as well. So
that's amazing.
Looking forward to that and working with them.
I imagine that you're the perfect fit for them because you do. One thing that we didn't talk about is you post consistently, kind of like silent tutorials almost, little combinations that you're doing. And that's what 1, 2, 3 is with instruction, but
and the bands and the circles and stuff.
Right. But I imagine that that's a perfect relationship.
I already know where to look at the camera and have a face. So, I mean, that's helpful.
Yeah. I can't wait to see that. Yeah. I'm super excited for that.
The back to basics thing kind of took off and a lot of people started messaging me and they're like, do you take requests? So I was like, if I can do it, don't ask me to do Rainbow Marchenko because I'd have to talk to you about that. But yeah, different things like that just seemed super cool. And I got more people between beginner all the way through advanced. They're like, oh, this is a transition to an elbow grip Aisha. And I'm like, oh, this is a fan kick into a split. And I never thought to do that.
Right.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew?
I love that.
And it's really just the curriculums that I teach in my classes. At the end of the day, I'll either do it in real time or really break something down for them.
So that's how it's coming. Yeah. You're just in class doing this thing.
I'm already doing the combo. I've been doing it 100 times all day. So when I record it, it'll either be like, this is what we taught, or if it's something in particular or a bunch of variations from a pirouette or something, then I'll slow it down and do the 1, the 2, the 3 different options or variations or whatnot. But yeah, I was like, it kind of goes in hand.
Yeah, it definitely goes hand in hand. That's perfect partnership. Yeah. I like it. Okay, so now we're at the point where I'm going to ask you the questions I ask everybody. Everybody.
Oh,
what
Lord.
is the favorite performance that you've ever done?
There's a lot.
Good.
There's a lot because I love basically playing dress up and becoming a character. But I freestyle every performance.
You do?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That
all
is
the time.
Impressive.
Yeah.
As fuck.
Yeah. I don't understand choreography, which is probably why I haven't sat down and done a floor rockers routine yet. I'm sorry, Cleo and Gemma. But yeah, I freestyle everything. And the one time that I attempted choreography was for the very first Metal Pole Mayhem show that I had done in North Carolina. And I was doing Coal Chambers Loco, and I had a crazy spike mask, and I came out in a straight jacket. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do my choreography. And as soon as I came out, I caught eyes with this one lady in front row, and she just had big eyes what the fuck is happening? And I just got down I'ma fuck with you. And I got so into the crowd interaction that by the time that my music was going, I was like, what is choreography? What? I should spin. Oh, I gotta get this straight jacket off. Oh, Jade. Jade. When in doubt, just Jade. And I'm just what am I doing? There's a second pole. Oh, yeah. Everything went out the window, but it was so fun to come out and mess with her and do my combos and stuff and just play on a new stage for the first time. And I was like, this is great. I love this. Yeah. And I was like, please, Teresa, have me back next year. And then she did. And I was like, yay.
Yeah, they have you back every year, don't they?
So far, it's been super fun to work with Teresa and all the different talent that comes on those. It's super fun.
Those shows are awesome.
The next one coming up, it'll already be over by the time this is released, sadly, but it will be August 31st, and their theme is undercover, so all cover songs.
Love.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Love.
All the love.
Literally, my entire wedding playlist was cover songs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every single one.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Now, I get to tell you my favorite performances of you.
This was not talked about.
No, I didn't tell you this. So there are two that I really, really loved. Of course, I love all of them, but there are two that I really, really loved. And knowing that you freestyled now just like blows my mind.
I tricked you.
Yes.
Like I knew what I was doing.
You really, seriously. The performance from, and I'll link to this in the show notes, the Pole Academy Student Showcase from 2017. You got up to the top and then you did an Aisha and you twerked it. Yes, and it was like the perfect angle. And then you like drop down real fast.
I don't know how to get down without doing a split.
That's so cool. And then more recently, the PoleCon 2019 Creepy Showcase.
The inaugural Creepy Showcase.
That performance was so dope. Like
I had a
twerking.
Knee injury.
You had a knee? Yes. Like the twerking, like that motion at the beginning of that. Like
motionless and white.
Knowing that you freestyled. Why? How? And you hurt your knee?
Yeah, I had a knee injury. And I love Kashina. Kashina-san, thank you. I originally had a prop of a confetti cannon that I was going to pop at the end. And I come down there and I was like, hey, Crystal, I have this prop, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, what is it? And I told her, she's like, after the sexy showcase last night, we can't have any more confetti because the hotel was like, bitch, we had to clean that up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, like Colleen approved it. She was like, oh, I'm sure she did until the sexy showcase. Right. And I was like, oh shit. Well, I'm a vampire. I was kind of using this for metal pole. I need someone to bite. Carol, you have a pig mask on. You go after me. Kashina, can I bite you? So that was pre-planned 2 minutes before the show started. That was like, I'm going to give you a cue. I'll bite you and kick you off. She's like, great. Done. Don't bleed on me because I go after you. I was like, deal. So I had a little blood capsule and everything. But I had a knee injury. I had ruptured my bursa sac about 6 weeks prior. So there's a lot of like, don't sit down on that knee. So I had to wiggle around that. But that was all a freestyle. And that was very poorly planned. Yeah.
No idea.
Still so fun though. Still so fun.
You know, I think it's kind of unfair. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That
was so fun to be in that show.
Yeah.
And I lost my dress. It actually like flung all the way down. I was like, pole cleaner Justice, I love you so much. My big ass can't fit back there. Can you go get my dress for the photo? And she's like, I mean, I guess.
Great. That's
like,
so great.
Thank you. Yeah. So that was super fun. And I kept my little blood spit capsule cup. And I was like, well, this is vampire blood. I'm just going to take this on stage. It's disgusting.
Yes.
Made for a good photo.
Yes. I like it.
Gotta keep with the theatrics.
Yes. You know, we love some theatrics.
Yes.
The more, the better.
Yes.
So now your favorite performance doesn't have to be all time of someone else. Now.
Someone else. Oh, there's a lot.
Yes. And you can name more than one if you want.
There's so many. I mean, we're going to have to go back to the very first Felix Kane video that I ever saw.
Which one was that?
Her 20. It was like the 2006 or something. It was one of the first ones on YouTube. And I'm sure more people are going to reference that because they did the Pole Parley one as well. But she's amazing. She was my first like iconic crush. And I was like, I want to grow up to be like her. Yeah. Never mind, my legs don't do that. But we have the same hair, so that's fine. I was her for Halloween. Don't tell her. Felix, I love you. But yeah, hers was amazing. But there's so many fun, amazing performers and themes and theatrics and stuff. And I'm like, why didn't I do things like that? Yeah.
I know.
Like, I know my friend Chitara had done a Barbie version and she busted out of a Barbie box. And I was like, that's amazing. Awesome. Yes. Like, I want a giant prop like that.
That is super dope.
That's so fun and creative.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. So there's
so many.
Amy Hazel with the peanut butter. Like, what? Like, how many can there be?
Oh, the peanut butter jelly?
Yes. Like, how could you not?
Yeah. No, those are all really, really great ones. I'll link to all of these in the show notes. And finally, how can people connect with you?
Oh, I'm a social media whore, so it's super easy to stalk me properly. Facebook, Jack's Poll. Instagram, Jack's Poll. Poll Riot, Jack's Poll. My website, thepolacademy.com. I'm on 123 Polling, so there's a link there. There's so many. Google me.
Google
me.
There are. We Googled you, and there are articles about you, and LinkedIn comes up. All the things come up.
Yelp is on there.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So all the fun things. Super easy to stalk.
Yes.
Not good for a serial killer, but still, it's fine.
So reach out to her.
Yes.
She's awesome.
Talk to me. Hang out with me. Come see me at shows and hit me up on Instagram because I will totally talk to you.
You will. I was like so nervous to send out your invite.
Oh, no.
And you
I'm so glad you did.
Immediately responded. And I was
because I'm always on my phone.
Literally, I started jumping up and down. I was like, oh my God.
Well, I got the email. I was like, I need to respond to her immediately. And like, that's just the professional. Yeah. I was like, whether it's yes or no or more information, I was like, you need to keep the conversation going. So
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for being here so much.
Thanks for asking me.
Yeah.
I was like, you want to interview me? Why?
Why not is more like it. Just to cover again, everything that you do. You own and operate the Pole Academy.
Yes.
You have your own humongous group. You know when you're a polar. You travel and teach and perform. You teach 1 million classes a week. And now you're with PSO and 123 Polling. Like, thank you for all you do. I'm not busy.
It's fine.
But seriously, thank you for all you do for this community. I can't imagine that I'm the only one that's so grateful for the group.
Makes me happy. No, thank you for having me. And anyone listening, oh my God, thank you for listening to me ramble for an hour or whatnot. But to talk to me at shows and to reach out and ask for tutorials and advice on stuff and to be in my group and the new group, if you like true crime, like just thanks for being a part of it and not yelling at me and blowing up my inbox going, you're evil, man. I know I'm a redhead secretly, but it's fine. No, I'm super happy to be in the community and watch it grow and to be a part of it while it continues. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for being here. And I think we're going to close out now.
Cool. I'm going to wander around St. Petersburg and play Pokemon.
Yeah. And eat all the food. All the food.
Yes.
Thanks you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for listening to that episode of the Aerial Hour. If you want to know more, head over to our show notes page, and don't forget to follow us and like us on Instagram and Facebook. I can't wait to share with you who's coming up next. See you guys later. Bye.
Oh my God, you're so beautiful. Look at your legs and your shoes. Oh my God, what great form. How do you spin?